Alright, welcome back guys. Today we are going to do part 2 of how to do a move out. It's going to focus specifically on building itemized estimates. So if y'all have been following this, the first part of how to do a move out, we did the inspection. And y'all followed me through the house and I kind of showed you a lot of the stuff we look for. So now that we've got the inspection done, we're going to write an itemized estimate for that inspection for both the findings that the property manager had and the findings that I found. However, we're not going to do it on that specific property. I've done like 6 more move-outs since that one. We're going to create a fake one so that I can show you step by step all of the different things that you're going to be doing within there. And there's a question of why are we doing itemized estimates? The reason is because I know you guys were watching in the past, and I say quite frequently not to do free estimates and specifically not to do itemized estimates. This applies mostly to one-off jobs or small punch lists that are tenant occupied, or to a property manager who's just wanting these estimates for every single job they send you simply because they want the best price they can get, so it ends up wasting all of your time driving all over town doing estimates for simple, easy work or for jobs that they're not actually prepared to spend money on. So we're going to go into why we do these, and the reason why is because on a vacant property like a move out, if it's vacant, typically that's when a lot of the work gets done. That's when things like upgrades get done. You're able to inspect it much more thoroughly. That's when the money gets spent. And what I found is that if I do these inspections and I provide these itemized estimates, it tends to bump up the value of that job by about 30%. And even if it doesn't, it lets the property manager know that there are more things to be done there so that they can talk to the homeowner and they can get on track at some point to do that work. And if you've already given the estimate, they're probably sending that work over to you. So I want to say that this video is sponsored by Jobber. Jobber saw that I was promoting them before they had ever been paying me or talking to me. So when they saw me online and found me, they decided to sponsor the channel, which I'm extremely grateful for, because that's what opens up this time that I need to put into doing this channel so that you guys can keep getting this information. For example, I've been working for 2 weeks straight now, literally every single day, all day, and I haven't had any time to do these videos. And honestly, if I didn't have Jobber sponsoring this, then I wouldn't have time to do this video. I would already be out the door trying to get as much money in the bank as I can, because I have a big family and big dreams, and we're all here trying to start a business, I assume, to make money. So Jobber enables me financially to be able to take the time for this channel to give you all the information that you're looking for. So we're going to be focusing on building an itemized estimate, and I'm going to be focusing a lot specifically on how to do that within the Jobber software, because that's the software that I've always used. If you have other software, this should be still equally useful to you. You should still be able to do most of the things that I'm doing. Maybe you won't have all the functionality I have, but the gist of what we're trying to do here, you should be able to recreate somewhere else. However, I do believe Jobber is the best software that you can get for this. They are tailored to specifically industries just like ours. So there is a link in the description for you to go get your free trial for Jobber. It's a free 14-day trial. I think there's also a big discount that comes along with it, an exclusive discount for using my link. And if you use my link, that also lets Jobber know that y'all are listening to me so that they continue to support this channel. So go down to the description, look for that link, get yourself a free trial. Even if you're using something else, I highly recommend that you at least give it a shot, just as I've done with other software. I've downloaded the free trials and I've tried them out. I've just found Jobber to be the best one. But send your property managers like one itemized estimate through Jobber. Let them see the client end and everything like that in the back that becomes very useful to them. Let them see how professional all of the documentation and record keeping is with Jobber, and see if they don't get impressed. I think they will. Mine always have been. They appreciate my Jobber software, and they use my Jobber software through their client end quite frequently. So yeah, with all that being said, let's get started. So we're going to come over here. Let me bring up my other screen. There we go. Alright, so to create an itemized estimate in Jobber, let's assume you've already got the account set up, you watched my previous videos, so you're set up in Jobber. I'm going to go to the Create button, come over here to Quote, and by the way, I did find something very recently, and I haven't done it to my main account yet, but it looks like you can replace the word quote with estimate, and if you choose that option, it will do that across the board throughout the Jobber software, which I like because I'm always asked for estimates, and I've always used the word estimate rather than quote. To me, a quote feels more like more of a set price, whereas estimate feels like more of a variable price. You're just giving them a ballpark, and then if you want to give them something that's set, if they need to know that it's not going to change, that's a firm estimate. So anyways, this can be changed. We'll jump into that in the future if we have time. So you've opened up a new quote. You got to pick your client. We're going to pick Fancy Nancy Realty. And then once you pick your client, now these multiple properties here, this box isn't going to pop up this way until you have more than one property under Fancy Nancy. But once you've done that, this box will pop up and you'll be able to pick from the properties she has. Or, so let's say you had 100, you'd be able to search right here by just typing in like 5487, and then see it narrows it down to this. So if you had 100, it would narrow them all down, or if you just knew the street name. However, we're going to create a new property, and I'm going to show you how the software will, so you see this, it has all of these different addresses across the US that start with this. Let's type in for north. See, and it just narrows down. So we're going to just pick one of these because this is not an actual job that we're doing. And it auto-fills everything for you, so that's a nice feature. Create property. Now, as soon as you create the property, every time in this software, anytime you're creating something new, it's going to want a title, and you're going to copy the address, and you're going to paste that address into the title, and you're going to follow that up with what it is. So if this was a leaky toilet, then I would say 6487 North Alexis Court leaky toilet. This is going to be a itemized estimate, and that's the title for this one. So now this will follow this through, and you'll always be able to search for this very easily. It's also going to throw this into like subject lines for emails and stuff like that. Work order. These are custom fields that I've created. I showed you on a previous one how to do that. I'm also probably going to eventually make a very specific video just going through all of the functionality of making custom fields. But custom fields, we got a work order. Every property management company pretty much is going to be using, all the bigger ones are going to have their own software. That software is going to create work order numbers, and they're going to like for you to have their work order number on your paperwork. So it's right here at the very top so they can find it quickly. Property manager, so you know this is Fancy Nancy, but let's say she has 3 managers working under her. So this one came from, oops, forgetting how to type here. This one came from Justin Smith. And the reason you want to know this is because every property manager is going to be different in terms of how they handle a lot of things. Like what level of patch and paint they want you to do, whether or not you'll have some that if you find, let's say, a leaky sink, they want you to just fix that immediately rather than wait for approval from them, and you'll have others that don't want you to do anything like that. So you need to know who your property manager is because that's going to dictate how you do a lot of the work. Tenant contact. On a normal one-off job, the tenant contact would normally have the tenant's name and phone number in there. That's another custom field I put on here because I need fast access to that. When I'm driving around town job to job and I'm going to be late to the next one, I can just look at my job form here real quick, and that contact info is very quick and easy to find. However, this is a vacant property. This is a move out. So what I do on these is I type vacant and then whatever the code box number is to get into the code box to get your key. So now that's also very quickly accessible to me when I print this out and take it with me. So here we are on our first one. This is where we actually start writing the itemized estimate. So the very first thing that I'm going to put in here, because this is not an optional line item, right? And I'm going to show you why we do the optional line items. But the first one, we're going to click on this and we're going to go down. You see where I scroll down here, it says trip fee move out. This does not come with your Jobber software, this specific wording in this line. This is something I've created in here so that I can just pull my drop down and just click it into every single one of these estimates every time I do them, so I don't have to type it out. And I'm going to show you all how to do that. So the first one, trip fee, move out. I'm going to read this to you real quick because you do need to understand the wording, and you don't have to word yours precisely the way I word mine, but you will want something like this because the questions will be asked. So here we go. This line item covers drive time to and from the job site, as well as all labor and supplies necessary for inspecting, documenting, purchasing, and ordering materials, cleanup, and for all other necessary non-itemized tasks that are not directly billable to individual line items. Because they're going to want to know, what's the $125 trip fee for if we're already paying you to do the work? That's what it's for. It goes on every single one of these estimates, and it stays there. They cannot optionally choose or not choose to click this. For them to approve this estimate, this also has to be approved with it. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're not going to add an optional line item yet. We're going to go to add text, and this is one that I made also, and it's going to be, here we go, itemized estimate instructions. And real quick guys, if you hover over this, you can click down, left click, and drag up and put it on top. That way they read the instructions first. So, itemized estimate instructions. I'm going to read this one too because it's also important that they understand how to use this itemized estimate. Because the whole point, real quick guys, the whole point of doing these itemized estimates in Jobber is not that they're itemized. It's that your property manager or your client, when they receive this itemized estimate in Jobber, and we're going to use optional line items, they will be able to approve or deny each individual line item. And why do we care that they can approve or deny each individual line item? Well, because they're going to send you a request for an estimate, and it's going to have, let's say, 8 items on it that they want the estimate for. They've decided those are the 8 things they want to know how much it's going to cost. When you go, you're going to do your inspection, and you're going to double that. You're going to find 8 more things of equal importance that also need to be done. But they didn't ask you for those 8 things, and that could be because this estimate is for tenant responsibilities, and the other things you found fall under homeowner responsibilities, and the homeowner's going to take care of their own stuff. Many, many reasons. But you can't send them just one long take-it-or-leave-it estimate that has extra things they didn't ask for. So what you're going to do is you're going to use these optional line items in here, and when you use these, if they don't want that extra stuff, they just don't approve it. But most of the time they're going to want at least half of that extra stuff you find. Excuse me. So let's dive into this. The following line items can be individually approved or denied. Please check the box beside each line item that you wish to approve, and the software will calculate the totals and create an approved estimate automatically. Please note that each line item for labor is followed immediately with the corresponding line item for any necessary materials. If a labor line item is approved without the corresponding materials line item, we purchase the materials necessary and adjust the invoice accordingly under the assumption that the missing materials approval was a simple oversight. Because what's going to happen, guys, is they're going to approve the labor line item and not approve the materials line item. I don't know why, but they'll do that. And in that case, if you don't have a line like this in here, in that case, you're now going to have to get approval for those materials that you already had in here. So what this does is it says, hey, if you approve the labor but you don't approve the materials, we're going to assume you want the job done, and we're going to purchase the materials, and we're going to invoice accordingly, because we're going to assume that you just accidentally didn't click on the materials portion as well. Adjust the invoice accordingly under the assumption that the missing materials approval was a simple oversight. Work will be scheduled upon electronic approval of this estimate and initiation of deposit if required. So you're letting them know that once they initiate the deposit, it's not necessarily that it's hit your bank account, but once they've initiated the deposit, you will schedule the work. And then before the work comes up, the deposit should have arrived. But you want them to know that you're on top of things, so you at least let them know that it's scheduled. Please do not hesitate to call or text us anytime with questions or concerns you may have. Thank you for your business. Bulletproof Handyman. So now all of these estimates, all of these itemized estimates are going to start with these two line items every single time, and that's not going to change. Now we get into the part that changes all of the optional things that you're going to be giving them prices on. So let's start with... Okay, let's start off with a one-off. This is something that you're not going to want to keep in your system for future use. It's going to be something very unique just to this particular job. So we're going to make one up. Oh, let me go back here. Let me delete this. So here's where we were. Go to Add Optional Line Item. Click on that. This is now an optional line item that they can approve or deny either way. And let's say stakes in backyard. You did your inspection, you went in the backyard, and there's a bunch of tent stakes sticking out of the ground, like 20 of them. You don't know what they used them for. You just know there's stakes in the ground in the backyard, and you probably don't want to be turning over a property for a rental with that. And you don't need to keep this because you're probably never going to see it again, and even if you do, the price would be different, the description would be different. So I'm not going to type out a full description of everything, but you would then type out that you found a bunch of stakes in the backyard, you don't know what they're for, they seem to be a safety hazard, and you would like to remove them, and you are willing to remove them for $40. Quick and easy. It's going to take you 5 minutes to make $40. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Recommend item. This comes into play later. We're not going to click that. So now you've written one individual line item that they can approve or deny. And if they don't want to approve it, they don't have to. So let's click Add Optional Line Item again. And now I'm going to show you how to create your own optional line items in here. So let's say it's a faucet that's bad. It's dripping or it's whatever's wrong with it. You found out that the faucet was bad. So here's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you. This is a very precise system that I use on all of these when I'm creating them to be saved within my job or software for future use. First of all, they're all going to start with either the word labor or materials, because everything you do can be classified as labor or materials. So the first word is labor, comma. Now what's the thing we're going to be working on itself? It's a faucet, comma. Now there can be kitchen faucets and there can be bathroom faucets, and it matters which one it is because they're done differently and they cost different amounts. So labor, faucet, kitchen, and then what are we going to do with that faucet? Well, we're going to install new. This is how I build all of these out. So if this was a toilet, this would say labor, toilet, install new. Or it would say, let's say that it's I don't know, paint. Say labor, paint. No, we wouldn't use paint really for that. That's not a good one. But it's anything that you're going to do multiple. So like door stops. There we go. Labor, door stops, install new. We got the title. Now this software has recognized that this title right here doesn't exist in the software yet, because the software comes with the titles of labor, it comes with the title materials. I've made some other ones in here, but it recognizes that this is not anything that's preset, so it says this is a custom line item. We're going to come over here where it says add to products and services, and we're going to click that. Now you have to decide first, is this a service or a product? Well, this is a service. It's an installation. Labor is a service. The name is exactly what I typed in, and the description, and this is where you want to get careful with these, and I'm not going to do a full description like what I have in my main account that I use for my business. This is a demo account, and I'm not going to create all of these in here. But when you get to the description, this is the part where you want to start thinking through, what do I do with these faucets? What do I need to tell them on every single job, on every different type of house, on every different type of faucet? What is it that I'm going to be doing every single time when I do this? So I'm just going to say install new kitchen faucet. That's all I'm going to say. But you can say more. Just remember, what you're doing is you're creating a line item that in the future you're just going to pull it down and click it and put a quantity and move on. So you don't want it to be specific to this house. You want this to be a very generic but descriptive description of the process of installing the faucet, and anything that you're going to always, like maybe you're always going to caulk the edge of the sink when you install a new faucet as like a bonus. If you're always going to do that, you can put that in here. So, unit price for the faucet, for the install, not for the materials. This is for the labor. Let's say that we're doing those for $85. And as you're going through here, keep in mind, guys, you've already got your trip fee. So now what you're doing is you're pricing these not what you would charge to go do this as a one-off at an occupied property. You're now pricing this assuming that you've arrived at the job with all the materials from Home Depot. You've arrived at the job with your materials and your tools, and you're just simply charging a rate for each individual piece of work you're doing. So I'm going to call it $85. I don't even know if that's what it is, and my main business is software, but it's probably somewhere near that. And then create. So now what you've done is you've created this as an optional line item that's going to stay in your system, and you're going to be able to pull that down and reuse it over and over and over instead of having to type this out every time. Now, there's the labor. Immediately following this labor line item, the very next thing is going to be the materials line item. So we're going to format it the same way. We're going to say materials. Let me make sure this is up here where y'all can see it. We're going to say materials, comma, faucet, comma, kitchen, comma. Actually, no more comma because we don't need to say it's install new. Now, if you wanted to, you could say new. If by chance you might sometimes be offering not new faucets, or maybe they've got a faucet that has been taken off and you're just going to put it back on, but in that case you wouldn't be charging for materials, so I don't think you need to say new. But the point is, it should start with materials, comma, faucet, comma, kitchen, comma, new, or without the new, but it should be this format. So, now with my business, we always use one very specific faucet, and I'm not going to type all of this out here, I'm just going to tell you what I would be writing, but I would be writing something like, we exclusively use Glacier Bay Market faucets on all of our rentals unless this style of faucet is not a like kind that would match the interior of the home based on all of the other faucets or all of the other water fixtures. Something to that effect, because that's what we do. So I would type all of that out and say, hey, this is the faucet we use. This is every single time we install it this way, and this is the type. And then once you say that, you can also follow that up and say, however, if the homeowner would like to purchase their own faucet or request a different faucet, we can always do that for a small additional fee. But this lets them know what those materials are going to be. So let me come back up here, bring that back up. So this custom line item right here, we're going to click on Add to Products and Services just like before, except this is a product. There's the title I already wrote. There's the description that I was writing into there. Now here's a feature I don't use much, but y'all may want to use. I don't mark up materials. Sometimes I'm charging slightly more for the materials just to cover like a little bit of the labor involved in getting them, but I don't have a standard where everything that I buy to put into a house immediately gets like a percentage markup. But if there was, let's say that you spend $97 on every single faucet. You're buying them wholesale off the internet or something, and you're paying $97 every time, and you always want to do, not me, just saying maybe you always want to do a 12% markup on all your materials. You can put the 97 in the cost, put the 12% in the markup, and it will calculate that unit price for you. And now this is going to stay in your system. Every time you choose this, it's going to be that same price. But let's say in the future the price goes up or it goes down, and you want to fix that. Well, in that case, you can come over here and you can say, okay, well now the cost, my cost went from 97 to 120. You fix that, and the markup is going to stay there, and your unit price will now go up to whatever the new unit price is. Now, there's one more thing. This is one of the things I really like about the Jobber software, is for this faucet. This is something that homeowners are probably going to want to know what it looks like. The owners of these investment properties, if they put a certain type of water fixture throughout this entire house, and they want to make sure that the new stuff matches, and you're going in saying, hey, we always use this one standard faucet, but you can choose your own if you want. Well, they don't know if they want to choose their own until they know what yours looks like. So click on Upload Image, and of course you need to have this image ready. But here is a picture that I already put into my downloads for the market faucet so that I could do this video and show you. So close this out, click on Upload Image, go to your image, double click it. Now the image of that faucet that I always use, let me raise this up to where y'all can see it. No, it won't move. Okay. Anyways, there's a picture of the faucet right in here where you can't see. How about if I do... Nope, not that. How about 2? There we go. So if you can see right here, there's the faucet right there. Come back over here. Now once you're done, you hit Create. Now you have created this product. This product is permanent. Every single time you're going to do a faucet, you're going to be able to click this from your drop down. It's going to come with the picture, with all the pricing. Maybe this is 2 of them for some reason. This is a big house that has 2 kitchens, and then boom, now you end up having your price doubled up over here just like it should be. So what are we going to do next? Mini blinds. So I'm going to show you how this works when you've already created these. Let's say you've already put these in your system. We're going to go to Add Optional Line Item, and we're going to go to Labor, Mini Blinds, Install New. Install 1 new set of mini blinds. Quantity 2, because we're doing 2 sets on this job. And what's the next thing we need to do? Add Optional Line Item, and come down to the materials, and here we go. Materials, comma, mini blinds, comma, standard vinyl cordless, because you could have standard aluminum, you could have 2-inch faux wood, you could have cloth, you could have cellular shades, so many different options. So essentially what you're doing here is you've created this just for when you're doing standard vinyl cordless mini blinds, which will be in most of your rentals. And what I've done is I've said that they're all $32. Now, if you're in this industry, you know that they range anywhere from about $11 to $70 or $80 for standard cordless vinyl mini blinds. What I've done is I've decided if I do $32, and I've tracked my numbers, and you should be tracking your numbers, but what I've found is on a move out with many sets of blinds, unless I notice that some of them are very huge, or very small, so small that I have to custom order them, then I just call them all $32, and it evens out in the end for me, and it saves me from having to measure all the blinds, which I'm going to measure them anyways, of course. I have to in order to purchase them. But it saves me from having to measure all the blinds, take the measurements home, look up all the blinds online, and find out specifically what they cost, and then hope that when I get to the store, they're in stock, because sometimes they're not in stock, and then you have to bump up to a more expensive blind to get the job done. So I call them all $32. And we came up here, we said 2 sets of mini blinds, so now down here we're going to say 2 sets of mini blinds. Let's do one more. Add optional line item. Now this time I'm not going to scroll to find it, because what you're going to do over time is you're going to end up with 100 or more of these line items. I probably have more than 100 in my account. So here's what we're going to do. I don't want to scroll around looking for it, even though you can put it in alphabetical order. So let's do some smoke detectors. I'm going to type smoke right here. And because I've made smoke detector line items already and saved them into my system, this automatically filtered to everything that says smoke. So again, the format, labor, comma, smoke detector, comma, battery operated, because there could be the hardwired ones, comma, install new. The description is install 1 new battery operated smoke detector. Let's do 3 of those. Calculated the number. Now this 1328 seems very precise. I'm always trying to be at about $100 an hour, which is $1.66 a minute, and 13.28, $13.28, what that is that's 8 minutes to install the blinds times $1.66 per minute. You guys do need to know your numbers. If you don't, you're just kind of out there hacking it. Now we've got the labor line. What's next? We want the materials line, but again, I'm not going to scroll. Just type in smoke and boom, it filters. Let me bring this up where y'all can see it better. So there we go. Materials, comma, smoke detector, comma, battery operated. I have a picture in here of the smoke detector. You want that on the materials part, not the labor part. And 1 new battery operated. This is my example for y'all, by the way, of how to word some of these properly, because I don't want to sit here and just type through the whole video. One battery-operated smoke detector. We exclusively use Kitty 10-year sealed smoke detectors. These are guaranteed to last for 10 years without battery replacement, saving you multiple work orders and trip fees for chirping detectors that the tenants cannot reach. So now you've told them why you use this more expensive smoke detector, and you've shown them that you've added value to what they're doing because you've now prevented future work orders. You've prevented the homeowner from having to spend more money in the future that they don't want to spend. We said 3 of them up here on the labor side, so make sure your materials also says 3 because I have sent these out before with the wrong quantities, and when I do that, I eat it. That's my mistake. I sent them an estimate and I told them what it was going to cost, and I was wrong, so I eat that. You don't have to. You can just go ahead and charge them. They're not going to get mad, but there's a certain reputation I'm always trying to keep. So you got your instructions. You got your trip fee and the explanation of what it is. You've got a unique line item that you just wrote on this one work order that you're never going to use again. You learned how to actually create these new ones that you're going to save and reuse over and over again, and you've seen all of the functionality. Now let's go to add required deposit. You don't have to add a deposit, but if you're going to, this is where you're going to do it. And what I do pretty much always if I'm going to do a deposit is 50% down. Most people understand that that's a pretty standard thing here. So 50% down. Now this says $62.50 because the price of this work order right now, of this estimate, is the $125 trip fee. As they add things up here, it's going to recalculate this for you. So you've got your deposit required in here, and you're done. So we're going to send this quote out. You click Save and what we're going to do is save and send as email. Now when this comes up, it's going to have, when you click on this, what happens is there's Nancy's email address, and the reason I put this channel's email address in here is because I don't know if this fancy Nancy one is a real email address for a real person, and I don't want to be sending them stuff. But normally, Fancy Nancy's email address would just already be up here. And then if there was other people you wanted to send it to, you could click your little drop down, and every time you add an email address that you send somebody to under this client, it's going to save it. So slowly, like Jason's email address, the fake property manager that we said sent us this work order, Jason's would be here, so would Maggie's and everyone else in that office, and you click who you're going to send it to. So we're going to send it to me, just because, again, I don't know if that's a real email address for somebody named Nancy right there. So we've got that. Now you can drag files in here if you want. You can put pictures and stuff in. I don't have anything I need to put in. You click this and it will automatically attach a PDF version of this. You can or can't. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't typically, because on the client end, they're going to have a button to create the PDF version if they want it. So I don't see any sense in cluttering things, but you can send that automatically. You can also click this to send yourself a copy. I started out doing that, and then I realized I've got all the copies in the Jobber software. This is all saved in here. I can come over here and click on quotes and see all of my quotes. So there's no reason to fill my email address with that. Now we're going to send this email, and this is going to send over to my email. So if y'all will hold on for just a second, what I'm going to do is come over here and open up my email, and I'm going to refresh it so that I can open up this work order, or this estimate, and we can go over it together. Here we go. It showed up. Give me just a second. I'm going to open the estimate up, and then I'm going to bring it over to the screen that you and I are on. Here we go. Boom. Open up my video software again. So now this is what Fancy Nancy or Jason, whoever you send it to, this is what they receive. This is all electronic. So you can see there's the instructions, there's the trip fee, here's all the work. Let's say they said, yeah, we want to remove the stakes, so they click that. They definitely want the new faucet. They definitely want the new blinds. However, the homeowner's going to go do the smoke detectors, so they just don't click on these. Maybe they didn't ask for them. The homeowner already was aware that he was going to be doing that, so they're just not going to click on these. So as you can see, as we've clicked, watch, let's click these on for a second, $685.44. Click them off. The price is reflected. The deposit required is now reflected to a different price. And the one difference with this software, the one thing I can't show you because this is demo software, is demo software cannot be set up with jobber payments because it's demo software and they don't want any mistakes happening with bank accounts and stuff. However, normally your client is going to have the option down here to approve and pay deposit. You can't see that because that's not here because this is demo software. Instead of approve and pay deposit, since this demo software doesn't include all the jobber payment stuff, it's just going to say approve. So they can click on approve, and then right here they can type out their name, or they can click on draw and they can draw their name and approve the job. Now, once they've done that, see how it says estimate approved, we'll be in touch soon. Now that they've done that, you're going to receive on your end the alert that it's been approved, and you can then convert this into a job, which will be another future video of converting these into jobs and taking more steps. And while I have you for just a second, I want to show you this client back end here. This is something that I think is important with Jobber. It's one of the big reasons. It's probably not the biggest reason, but it's very close to the biggest reason that I kept using them from the very beginning when I first started. And the reason was because before I even understood that this was here, my clients found that they have a client hub. And in this client hub, as you can see, they can click this and they can send you a request. They can click this one and they can see all of the estimates. So if you've written 15 estimates for 15 different properties for them and you've sent them just like you did this one, they're going to show up under here and they're going to be able to look at all the open and or closed, approved or not approved estimates. They're going to be able to see any appointments you set. So when you have your jobs you've created and you've scheduled and you've reflected that scheduling for that appointment within your Jobber software, they're going to be able to click on this and actually see that you've said you're going to this property on this day and this time to do this stuff. And you don't have to use that function, but it's there. They can click on invoices right below that, and they can click on contact us. They can do a lot in here. The client end is very nice. I have property managers who use it to see as far as when they do their accounting so that they can pay me. They just come in here and they just go to invoices and they see all of the open invoices that haven't been closed out and they pay them. And for example, if they pay them securely online with a credit card, it automatically updates that on my end and tells my system that that's paid. I don't have to go in manually and say, hey, this job's been paid out. So now that's all been approved. And the next step is for us to create the job. So now you guys have seen how to create an itemized estimate that is line item, approve or deny within your Jobber software. Please do get your free trial if you don't already have it, and just try doing a few of these and sending them, because I think if your property managers are like mine, they're really going to love this option here a lot. All right, so thanks for joining in, guys. You guys have a great day, and I will see y'all later.